In 1925, the celebrated explorer Percy Fawcett, accompanied by his son Jack, ventured deep into the Amazon jungle, their quest to find a legendary city, a place the entire world dismissed as a myth. They never returned. For nearly a century, their story was a cautionary tale of obsession and folly. But then, a century later, modern technology pierced the jungle's canopy. LiDAR scans revealed the unbelievable that city, or at least a city like it, had been there all along. This is one of the greatest and most haunting cold cases of the 20th century. The central figure, presumed victim, Colonel Percy Harrison Fawcett. Now Fawcett wasn't some naive adventurer or a fool chasing fantasies. He was a distinguished British surveyor, a geographer for the Royal Geographical Society, a man of science and discipline. But something took hold of him, an obsession that would define his life and, ultimately, his death. It began with a document discovered in the National Library of Brazil, a crumbling 18th century Portuguese manuscript known as Manuscript 512. This document described, in remarkable detail, a vast ancient stone city, complete with arches, multi-storied buildings, and strange inscriptions, hidden deep within the Brazilian jungle. Fawcett became convinced of its existence. He gave it a name that would echo through history: the City of Z. For Fawcett, Manuscript 512 wasn't just a story. It was a map, a piece of evidence, and he believed he had other smoking guns. Among the most curious was a mysterious 10-inch black basalt idol, covered in strange carvings and inscriptions. It had been gifted to him by the author H. Rider Haggard, who himself was famous for tales of lost worlds. Fawcett was certain this idol wasn't just a trinket. He believed it was an artifact from Z itself, a key that could unlock its secrets. The academic world, however, was deeply skeptical. They called him mad. The prevailing scientific view at the time was that the Amazon was a green desert, its soil too poor, its environment too hostile to have ever supported a large, complex civilization. It was a place for small, nomadic tribes, not grand stone cities. But Fawcett's conviction was unshakable. He had seen things on his earlier expeditions, pottery shards and traces of ancient roads, that hinted at something more. So, in 1925, he, his son Jack, and Jack's friend Rolly Rimmel, financed by a group of London financiers, embarked on what they hoped would be their final, triumphant expedition. On May 29, 1925, from a location they called Dead Horse Camp, named for the horse that had died there on a previous journey, Fawcett sent his last dispatch back to the world. In the letter to his wife, his tone was one of absolute confidence, writing, "You need have no fear of any failure." After sending his local guides back, he, Jack, and Rolly Rimmel turned their faces toward the unexplored territory east of the Xingu River and walked into oblivion. The world waited. Weeks turned into months, months into years. The three men had utterly vanished. The case went cold. Dozens of rescue missions were launched over the decades, many of which ended in their own tragedies. The consensus solidified. Colonel Fawcett had died chasing a fantasy, a romantic delusion. His City of Z was just another iteration of the legend of El Dorado, the siren song of a golden city that had lured countless explorers to their doom in the Amazon. He was a tragic hero, but a deluded one. But here's where the story takes a dramatic turn. The central assumption that sealed Fawcett's fate in the history books, the idea that the Amazon was an untouched wilderness, was the biggest mistake of all. Beginning in the late 20th century, as deforestation for cattle ranching began to accelerate in places like Brazil's Acre State, something impossible started to appear on the cleared land. From the air, and later on satellite images, hundreds of massive, precise geometric earthworks became visible. Perfectly carved squares, circles, and long straight avenues stretched for miles across the landscape. Works of engineering on a scale that was previously unimaginable. They were dubbed G, hidden for centuries beneath the dense rainforest canopy. They were undeniable proof that this region was once home to complex, organized societies, not just the small, scattered tribes that conventional wisdom allowed for. The green desert theory was beginning to crumble. Then came the definitive, earth-shattering discovery. It was made in the Xingu region of the Mato Grosso, the very same area where Percy Fawcett was last seen. Archaeologist Michael Heckenberger, working in close collaboration with the local Kukuro people who had preserved the oral history of their ancestors, began to uncover the remains of a vast interconnected network of ancient settlements. Using a combination of traditional archaeology and modern technology, they revealed what they now call Kuhi. This wasn't a single city, but a sprawling urban landscape of at least 20 towns and villages, linked by wide planned roads that radiated outwards from central plazas. These settlements were protected by moats and defensive walls. Heckenberger's team estimated that, at its peak, this regional civilization was home to as many as 50,000 people. How did they sustain such a population? They were master landscape engineers. They created terra preta, a rich, black, man-made soil, incredibly fertile, that allowed them to farm the supposedly poor rainforest soil for centuries. They didn't just live in the jungle, they shaped it. So, what does all of this mean for the cold case of Colonel Percy Fawcett? It means, in the most profound sense, that he was right. The details might have been wrong, the exact location a mystery, but his fundamental premise was correct. His city of Z wasn't a fantasy. It was likely the ancestral memory, passed down through fragmented stories like Manuscript 512 of these very real, very large, and very sophisticated civilizations that were swallowed by the jungle long before Europeans arrived, their populations likely devastated by diseases that traveled faster than the explorers themselves. The manuscript he held so dear, describing arches and grand structures, may not have been a direct map, but a garbled, second-hand account of one of these real lost cities, like those found at Kuhitkugu. Fawcett's obsession wasn't with a myth, it was with a forgotten history. And this is the incredible human resonance of his story. It's a tale of vindication, a century in the making. The man ridiculed as a madman was, in fact, a visionary. His intuition, honed by years in the field, sensed a truth that science, at the time, refused to see. His obsession and his ultimate sacrifice were not in vain. He was proven true, not by finding a single city of gold, but by technology he could never have imagined, revealing a lost world of human ingenuity. His story reminds us that history isn't just what's written down in our books. It's also what's buried beneath our feet, what's hidden by the jungle, just waiting for the right moment, the right tools, and the right questions to be rediscovered. If you believe that history is a case that's never truly closed, that there are still wonders waiting to be found, then let us know what you think in the comments. And for more journeys into the forgotten corners of our past, make sure to like this video and subscribe. Thanks for watching.